How a tiny village called Rome became a massive, unstoppable empire. And then, how did that all come crashing down? This is a story filled with crazy emperors, epic battles, and some seriously weird parties that shaped the world we live in today. It's a tale of power, greed, and a spectacular fall that no one saw coming. The year is 27 BCE. A guy named Octavian, who is Julius Caesar's nephew, becomes the first emperor. He's now Augustus Caesar, and he rules for 40 years. He's a smart guy. He sets up a system that basically says, after me, only super powerful emperors can rule. The emperor is in charge of everything politics, the Senate, the people, and the army. He basically has total control. The Roman army, their famous legions, now report directly to him, not to individual generals. This makes the emperor's power absolute. But how does he keep the public happy and distracted? He builds huge amphitheaters, like the Colosseum you've seen in pictures where they host gladiator fights. Slaves, prisoners, even Roman knights fight each other and wild animals. These spectacles are insane. They can go on for weeks. To pay for these massive games, emperors levy heavy taxes on the people and the Senate. The public, though, they eat it up. They love the entertainment, and it keeps them from thinking too much about what's really going on. These spectacles were a huge part of Roman life, a way for the emperor to show his generosity and power while keeping the masses docile. It was a brilliant but cynical form of social control. But the wealth and power Rome gained, it started to get a little out of control. By 117 CE, the Roman Empire spans 2 million square miles from Scotland all the way to Syria, from Egypt to Morocco. The Mediterranean Sea is basically a Roman lake. They control all the trade and get insanely rich. But not everyone gets a piece of the pie. The emperors and the elite class, the patricians, become so wealthy they develop some seriously strange habits. Have you ever heard of Emperor Heliogabalus? This guy was famous for eating quail tongues for dinner. Quail tongues! To get this rare delicacy, innocent birds were hunted all over Rome. He would also order dishes with specific color palettes. And he was so obsessed with flowers that he built a banquet hall with a ceiling that would drop flowers on his guests. One time, he dropped so many flowers that some people actually choked to death. It was a bizarre, over-the-top act of power and extravagance. Another emperor, Vitellius, would order dinner several times a day. He'd have meals with 2,000 different fish dishes and 7,000 different fowl dishes. And sometimes, he'd just sit and eat it all by himself. They'd spend a fortune to get special ostriches from Africa or tiny fish from Greece just for a single meal. They even had an entire army dedicated to capturing parrots from the wilds of Europe so they could use different parts of the bird's meat for special dishes. The patricians would compete on who could serve the most dishes. They'd build huge halls just for these feasts, complete with music, dancing, and even mini gladiator fights for entertainment. These parties were a sign of their immense wealth and a way to show off their status. It was a world where a single meal could cost hundreds of slaves. While the rich are living it up, the common people, the plebeians, are getting a raw deal. The social contract of the Republic is gone. There's no proper garbage disposal or sanitation. Rome is so rich, yet the common people are using the streets as toilets. The city is rich, but it's also a mess, a stark contrast to the opulence of the elite. To make things worse, Rome stops giving citizenship to newcomers, which turns it into an apartheid state. Some people have full civil rights, but the rest are treated as subjugated citizens. This creates a huge population of unhappy people, and it gives the enemies of Rome a perfect opportunity to stir up trouble. An attempt to fix this was made in 212 CE when Emperor Caracalla granted citizenship to all 3 million free men in the empire. But it was too little, too late. It made Rome lose its unique identity and scattered its culture. The famous slogan SPQR, which stood for the Senate and People of Rome, no longer meant anything. The people had no say, and the Senate had no power. In 192 CE, we get to the end of the good emperors with a guy named Commodus. You might know him from the movie Gladiator. He's the son of the great philosopher king Marcus Aurelius. But Commodus is a total mess. He thinks he's the reincarnation of Hercules, the Roman hero. He changes months in the calendar to his own names and sets up fake gladiator fights where he pretends to be a hero. He uses blunted swords and rigs the whole thing to make himself look good. This guy wins 12,000 staged fights. He even kills hundreds of bears and lions with arrows just to impress people. To the Roman public, who had grown tired of the bloodshed, his behavior was a sign of a madman, not a hero. But his bloodlust and insane spending just makes people hate him. Eventually, his own mistress and some conspirators get so fed up they poison him. When that doesn't work, they have a wrestler strangle him to death. He was just 31 years old. His assassination was the final straw. It plunged Rome into permanent chaos and civil war. In the 166 years before him, there were only 14 emperors. In the next century, there are 70. The Roman army, which was once Rome's pride, now just sells the emperor's crown to the highest bidder. The army has become so powerful, it's also the main reason for the empire's downfall. They had become kingmakers, and their loyalty was for sale. The army's power wasn't the only problem. Rome's reliance on slaves also created huge issues. Roman landowners got richer with free labor, but it left the common Romans jobless. They had two choices: join the army or move to the city. This created a huge unemployed population, which led to social decay and desperation. The cities became crowded and unsanitary. With no jobs and no hope, many men became mercenaries, and women were forced into prostitution. These mercenaries, coming from all over the empire, brought with them a host of new diseases. Sanitation was already a shambles, so these plagues spread like wildfire. At the height of one plague, up to 5,000 corpses were being removed from Rome every day. Rome was losing its power, its pride, and its people. Meanwhile, Rome's ancient enemies, the barbarians, saw this weakness and started to attack. The once unbeatable Roman army was now forced to make deals with these tribes, even letting them settle within the empire's borders to fight other tribes. These allies quickly realized how weak Rome had become and began to increase their own power. So, Rome finally falls in 476 CE. A Berber tribal chief named Odoacer deposes the last Roman king, Romulus Augustus, and takes the throne himself. The story of Rome starts with a guy named Romulus and ends over 1,000 years later with a guy named Romulus Augustus. The western part of the empire is officially no more. But the story doesn't completely end there. In the east, a part of the empire still stands. This is the Byzantine Empire, founded by Emperor Constantine in 313 CE, who moved the capital to Constantinople. He adopted Christianity, believing that one emperor and one religion would keep the empire united. This Eastern Roman Empire would go on to last for another 1,000 years, finally falling in 1453 CE to the Ottoman Turks. What can we learn from all this? People say Rome was defeated from within, not from without. Its strengths, the army, and its wealth eventually became its biggest weaknesses. History teaches us a powerful lesson. Empires need strong, ethical leadership, not just powerful armies or extravagant wealth. When a society becomes too focused on power and greed, it's a slow but certain path to its own destruction. We see some of these same issues today. The United States, for example, is a global superpower with a massive military. It earns trillions from its war industry. But is that making the country stronger or just creating endless conflicts? Is it worth the cost to the average taxpayer while a few get insanely rich? The same way Rome's powerful military became a liability, the US military-industrial complex could be seen in the same light. The lesson from Rome is that an empire can only sustain itself through constant war for so long before the cost becomes too great and the people start to lose faith in the system. So, what do you think? Did Rome's fall hold a warning for modern times? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more.